Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, you are invited into a gentle journey, one that will carry you away from the noise of the day and into the quiet magic of the night. Asterisk, I know your mind may have been racing, thoughts swirling like restless winds, worries pressing like heavy clouds across your heart. But here, in this moment, you don't have to hold on to any of that. Here, you can let go. Asterisk, imagine being guided by a kind, wise soul, the midnight scientist who doesn't rush, doesn't overwhelm, but instead whispers truths of the universe in a way that feels like a lullaby. Together, you'll drift through skies filled with clouds, winds, and stars, learning how weather itself is not chaos, but rhythm. And in its rhythm, there is peace. The rain, the wind, the sun, even the storms, they all remind us of something simple, something healing. Everything passes, everything flows, and after every storm, calm returns. Asterisk, so tonight, let this story be your sanctuary. Let my voice be the steady breeze that carries you into rest. Breathe softly. Feel the weight of the day slip away. Allow your heart to ease, your mind to quiet, and your body to sink into comfort. Asterisk, for you're safe here. You are cared for. You are enough. And now let us begin this calming journey under the starlit sky. The midnight scientist's gentle beginning. The night was still, the kind of stillness that only comes when the world has slowed down, when the busy chatter of the day has faded and the earth seems to hum in a soft, low voice of peace. Asterisk, on the edge of a small town, upon a quiet hill, stood an old observatory. Its dome was shaped like a pearl against the night sky, and through its open windows came the gentle glow of lantern light. Inside, a man sat at a wooden desk surrounded by books, journals, and old maps of the stars. His name was known by very few, but those who did know him called him the Midnight Scientist. Asterisk, he was not a scientist of cold facts and hurried lectures. No, his way was different. His voice carried warmth, and his explanations unfolded slowly like a bedtime song. He studied the skies not to control them, but to understand them and to share with others how nature itself could heal restless hearts. Asterisk, tonight, he sat with a steaming cup of tea beside him, watching the clouds drift lazily across the moon. He knew that somewhere, someone lay awake with thoughts too loud, worries too heavy, and a heart too restless to find sleep. And so he opened his journal, dipped his pen in ink, and began to speak not only to the pages before him, but to you, asterisk, the invitation to rest, asterisk. Welcome, my friend, he whispered softly, as if his voice was carried by the wind itself. You have come here to rest. You have walked through a long day, perhaps a long week, maybe even a long season of worry. But here, in the quiet of this observatory, you are safe. Here the world slows down. Here you may finally let your thoughts drift like clouds across the sky. He paused, sipping his tea, allowing silence to breathe between his words. Have you ever noticed, he continued, how the sky itself teaches us about letting go? Clouds do not cling to their shapes. They appear, they shift, they dissolve. Thoughts, too, are like clouds. And when we try to hold them tightly, they grow. Heavy like storm clouds. But when we let them drift, we find the sky of our mind is far more spacious than we ever believed. Asterisk, he leaned back in his chair, the wood creaking softly, and gazed up at the stars through the observatory's dome. The night sky is a teacher above him. The Milky Way stretched like a river of light. The stars twinkled gently, not demanding attention, but offering it freely to anyone who looked long enough. Asterisk. The stars, he said in a calm, soothing rhythm, are older than all of our worries. They have watched countless storms rise and fade, countless nights turn into dawn. They remind us of something essential, that all things pass. Your anxiety too will pass. Like clouds, like storms, like the restless winds, it cannot remain forever. Asterisk, he closed his eyes for a moment, breathing in deeply. Tonight, I want to tell you a story about how weather works. Not in the hurried, mechanical way you might find in a textbook, but in the slow, gentle rhythm that nature herself follows. Because when we understand weather, we understand something about ourselves. We too are part of this rhythm. The birth of a breeze. He stood, walking to the large telescope by the window, though tonight he wasn't looking at stars. Instead, he tilted his head slightly and listened. A soft breeze was moving through the trees outside. It brushed gently against the observatory walls, almost like a lullaby. Asterisk. Do you hear the wind? He asked, his voice dropping into a whisper. It is born from difference. Warm air rises, cool air sinks, and in between them the air begins to move. And what a beautiful lesson that is. Movement comes from contrast, from change. Without warm and cool, without difference, there is no breeze. And yet, here it is, gentle, soothing, carrying with it the promise of sleep. Asterisk, he opened a window, letting the breeze drift into the observatory. It carried the scent of pine trees, the faint sweetness of nearby meadows, and the freshness of night air. He let it move through him as though it were brushing away the dust of the day. Asterisk, you see, he continued, we too hold contrasts. Within us, some days we feel warm, some days cold, some days bright, others heavy. And sometimes when these differences meet, there is movement inside of us. That movement, though it may feel like anxiety, is simply the breath of life passing through. Like the wind, it does not stay. It moves, it flows, and it changes. A gentle exercise in stillness, he invited you, the listener, to close your eyes for a moment. Asterisk, imagine yourself, he said softly, sitting by an open window. Outside, the wind is brushing through the trees, steady but soft. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to stop it. Just notice it. The way it flows in, the way it flows out. Now, place your hand over your chest. Feel your own breath. Rising, falling, just like the wind. Asterisk, he paused, allowing silence to settle again like dew on grass. Asterisk, this is the secret of the weather, he whispered. It mirrors us. It reminds us that nothing is permanent, not storms, not winds, not even heavy clouds. Everything changes. Everything passes, and so will the weight you carry. The quiet observatory, the midnight scientist walked slowly back to his desk and wrote a few words in his journal. Breathe like the wind, think like the clouds, rest like the night. Asterisk, the words glowed softly in the lantern light. He closed the journal, knowing it was not for him alone, but for anyone who needed to hear it, including you, lying now in your bed, your eyes growing heavier, your mind growing calmer. Asterisk, the night does not ask anything of you, he murmured. It does not demand productivity. It does not demand answers. It only asks that you rest, that you let yourself be. And so, my dear listener, allow yourself to surrender. Let go of today. Tomorrow will come in its own time, like the sunrise. Tonight, there is only this: stillness, softness, peace. Asterisk, the First steps toward sleep asterisk, and with that, he leaned back, closing his eyes, listening to the sound of the wind outside. Asterisk. Perhaps you, too, are beginning to feel the weight of your eyelids. Perhaps your body is softening, sinking deeper into comfort. Perhaps your thoughts, once so loud, are drifting now, slower and lighter, like clouds moving across the night sky. Asterisk. Rest now, he whispered. You are safe. You are held. You are enough. Let the weather of your mind soften into stillness. Let yourself be carried by the rhythm of the night. The dance of clouds and winds asterisk. The midnight scientist rose before dawn. The lanterns in the observatory had grown dim, their glow giving way to the first whispers of morning. Outside, the sky was painted in shades of indigo and pale lavender, with streaks of silver clouds drifting lazily across the horizon. Asterisk. He stepped to the wide window, hands wrapped around a mug of warm tea, and simply watched. There was no hurry, no rush. The sky did not demand to be understood all at once. It revealed its secrets slowly, as all wise things do. Asterisk. He turned his gaze upward, and with the gentlest of voices, he began to share the language of clouds. Have you ever noticed, he said, how clouds are storytellers? Each shape, each shift, each drifting movement carries a message. They are made of the smallest things, tiny droplets of water, too small for us to see until they gather together. And when they do, they become visible, floating across the sky, like dreamscapes. Asterisk. He traced one with his eyes, a long wisp that stretched thin like a silk ribbon. This one is called a cirrus cloud, he murmured. High above us, delicate and thin, made of ice crystals that shimmer in the sunlight. They remind us that even the lightest touch can be seen, that beauty does not always need to be bold. Asterisk. Another cloud drifted lower, puffy and full like cotton resting on blue canvas. These are cumulus, he explained softly. Joyful clouds, the ones children often point at, saying, that one looks like a ship or a dragon or a castle in the sky. They carry the spirit of imagination, reminding us that it's okay to see the world playfully, even as adults. Asterisk. Then, farther away, a layer of gray clouds stretched like a soft blanket. And these, he said, are stratus. They do not seek attention. They move quietly, covering the sky in a thin veil, offering shade and calm. They're like those gentle days in life where nothing dramatic happens, yet everything feels steady, grounded, at peace. He paused, sipping his tea again, his breath releasing into the morning air like a small cloud of its own. Clouds, he whispered, are proof that even the smallest pieces, when they come together, can transform the sky. And so too are our thoughts. One thought alone may seem light, harmless, but when many gather, when they begin to cluster, they can fill the mind. Sometimes they bring storms. Other times they bring rain that nourishes the earth. But always they pass, always. The winds that dance, the midnight scientist set his cup down and stepped outside onto the observatory's balcony. A soft breeze brushed against his face, cool and gentle. He closed his eyes, listening to it move through the pine trees below, listening as it carried the song of distant birds. The wind, he said, his voice slower now, inviting you to breathe. With him is the great dancer of the sky. It has no shape, yet it moves everything. It carries clouds, it shapes waves, it scatters seeds across fields, so new life may grow. And yet, though it can be powerful, it often comes as nothing more than a whisper. He smiled faintly. Anxiety, too, is like the wind. It can rush in suddenly, startling us, pushing against us. But when we stop fighting, when we lean into it gently, we realize it cannot break us. It can move us, yes, but it does not have to define us. Just as trees bend with the wind but do not fall, so too can we bend with the weight of our thoughts. Without breaking, he invited you now to imagine. Picture yourself standing in a wide, open field. The sky is vast above you, filled with drifting clouds. The grass brushes against your legs as the wind moves through it like waves in the ocean. Close your eyes, feel the air touch your skin, hear it whisper in your ear. This is the same wind that has touched mountains, rivers, deserts, and seas. It is the breath of the world, and it is touching you now. The gentle lesson of balance as he leaned against the railing, he continued. Do you know why the wind blows? He asked softly. It is because of balance. Warm air rises, cool air sinks, and in their dance, the air begins to move. But Earth is always searching for balance, and the wind is how it tries to achieve it. Asterisk. And what a lesson that is for us. For anxiety often comes from imbalance, too much worry about the future, too much clinging to the past. But when we breathe, when we allow ourselves to return to the present, we restore balance. Just like the wind, we begin to flow again. Asterisk. He closed his eyes, inhaling deeply. Try it with me, he whispered. Breathe in slowly, hold gently, and breathe out softly. Imagine your breath is the wind, moving through you, clearing away the heaviness. Inhale peace. Exhale release. Inhale calm. Exhale worry. Asterisk. The balcony felt quiet again, save for the steady hum of the morning breeze. Watching the sky change as the sun began to climb higher, the colors of the sky shifted. The lavender softened into pale blue. The silver clouds became tinged with gold. The scientist watched, his heart slowing, his shoulders dropping. Asterisk. Do you see how the sky changes without effort? He asked. It does not rush. It does not worry. It simply transforms. Every color, every shift is part of its rhythm, and so it is with us. Change is natural. Transformation is part of our rhythm. We do not need to force it. We only need to allow it. Asterisk. He picked up his journal again, noting down a single line. The sky teaches us patience. The wind teaches us surrender. The clouds teach us softness. Asterisk. He smiled gently, knowing these lessons were not for him alone, but for anyone who carried the weight of anxious thoughts through sleepless nights. For you, a soft path toward rest. And so, as he closed his journal, he spoke one last time for this morning. Asterisk. Wherever you are, lying in your bed, listening with your heart open, know this. The clouds will drift, the winds will soften, and peace will always return. You do not need to chase it. You only need to rest here now, in this moment. He placed the journal on the windowsill, letting the sunlight warm its cover, and whispered, "Rest, dear one. You are safe. You are enough." Like the clouds, like the wind, let yourself drift gently, softly into peace. Asterisk. And as his voice faded, the breeze carried the last of his words away, leaving only silence, only stillness, the perfect rhythm for sleep. The Secret Life of Rain Asterisk. The observatory was quiet when the first drops began to fall. The midnight scientist had been sitting by the wide glass window, his journal open, his pen resting between thoughtful fingers. The world outside was wrapped in stillness, but then tap, tap, the gentle rhythm of rain began to play upon the roof. Asterisk, he smiled softly. Ah, he whispered, the most soothing orchestra of all has arrived. The first drop's rain does not always rush in. Often it begins shyly. A few drops here, a few there, as though the sky is testing the ground below, making sure it is ready. The scientist leaned back in his chair, listening as those first drops fell against the glass. Asterisk. Had you ever noticed, he asked, his voice as steady as the rain, how even a single drop carries a world within it? Each one begins as a speck, a tiny piece of water lifted high into the sky. It joins with others, gathering, becoming heavier until it must fall. And when it falls, it nourishes the earth. It becomes rivers, lakes, oceans. It becomes life itself. Asterisk, the rain grew steadier, its pattern soft and rhythmic like the beat of a slow heart. Asterisk, listen, he said. Just listen. Asterisk, for a while there were no words, only the sound of rain falling against the observatory windows, a sound that seemed to wash away thought, to smooth over worry. The comfort of rhythm, the reason rain feels calming, he continued gently, is because it carries rhythm. Our hearts know rhythm, our breath knows rhythm, and so when we hear rain, something within us recognizes it. It tells us, all is steady, all is safe. Asterisk, he closed his eyes and breathed in deeply. When anxiety comes, it often arrives like a storm, wild and unpredictable. But when you listen to rain, it teaches you to find the steadiness beneath the storm. It reminds you that even in chaos, rhythm exists, and rhythm, dear one, is healing. The scientist invited you now to imagine you are lying beneath a soft roof, the world dark and safe around you. Rain is falling steadily above, a lullaby written by the sky. Each drop lands with purpose, yet together they create a song that is infinite. You do not need to control it. You only need to listen. And as you listen, your heartbeat slows, your breath deepens, your thoughts soften. The journey of a drop. He lifted his journal and began to sketch a simple drawing of the water cycle. A drop rising, a cloud forming, the drop falling again. His pen moved slowly as though telling a story. Asterisk, let us follow one drop, he said. Warmly, it begins in the ocean, warmed by the sun. It rises as vapor unseen, drifting higher and higher into the cool sky. There it joins with others, forming a cloud. It waits, carried by the wind, until the time comes. Then it falls as rain, touching the earth gently, sliding down a leaf, slipping into the soil. Perhaps it becomes part of a river, flowing back to the ocean, ready to begin again. Asterisk, he set the pen down. This journey has no end. It is a circle, a cycle, eternal, and so it is with us. We rise, we fall, we return, and we begin again. Each day, each breath is a new beginning. Rain as a teacher, the rain outside the observatory, grew heavier now, steady but never harsh. It was a blanket of sound, wrapping the world in comfort. Asterisk, rain teaches us patience, he said. It cannot be hurried. It falls in its own time, in its own way. And it teaches us acceptance too, for we cannot stop it, nor should we. It reminds us that not all storms are here to harm. Some come only to cleanse. He paused, letting the silence breathe between his words. When you feel anxious, think of the rain. Picture your worries as dust upon the ground. Then imagine the rain falling gently, washing the dust away, leaving the earth fresh, renewed. Let the rain within your imagination wash your thoughts until what remains is quiet, still, clean. A scent of renewal. The scientists opened the window just slightly, enough for the scent of the rain petrichor to drift inside. He closed his eyes and inhaled deeply. Asterisk. Ah, he whispered. Do you smell it? The earth after rain. It is the sun of renewal, the sun of something ancient, reminding us that life always begins again. Asterisk, he turned back to you, his eyes soft, his words meant for the quiet spaces in your heart. Asterisk. The sun exists because the earth releases it when touched by rain, as though the soil is saying, Thank you, sky, for nourishing me. Even the ground finds gratitude in the falling rain. Perhaps we too can find gratitude in the moments that cleanse us, even if they come as storms. A rain meditation. The scientist invited you now into a meditation. Asterisk. Close your eyes, he said softly. Picture yourself in a cabin in the woods. The roof is strong above you, and outside rain is falling steadily. You are safe, warm, wrapped in blankets. The air smells fresh. The sound of rain surrounds you. Asterisk. With each drop, feel a piece of your worry wash away. With each rhythm, feel your breath grow steadier. The rain is not outside you, it is within you, cleansing your heart, softening your thoughts, quieting your mind. Asterisk, he let the silence stretch again, letting you hear the imagined rain. Letting you breathe in the rhythm. The scientist's reflection. He opened his journal once more and wrote, Asterisk rain does not ask permission to fall. It simply gives itself to the earth. May I too learn to release what I hold, and in doing so, find peace. He set the pen down gently. Anxiety, he whispered, is often a holding on to thoughts, to fears, to what ifs. But rain reminds us to let go, to fall, to trust the ground will receive us. And when we let go, we discover we're lighter than we believed. Resting in the rain outside soft again, returning to the gentle rhythm of the beginning. The scientist leaned back in his chair, listening once more. Asterisk. Listen closely now, he said. The rain has changed. It has become lighter, softer, as though it knows you're ready for rest. Let it lull you, let it cradle you. Imagine it, falling upon your worries, dissolving them, until only calm remains. Asterisk, and as the rain drifts into silence, so too may your thoughts. So too may your heart. His voice lowered, softer than the rain itself. Sleep, dear one. Sleep gently, sleep deeply. The rain will watch over you. The earth will hold you. You're safe. Asterisk, and with that, the scientist closed his eyes, listening to the rain as though it were the most ancient lullaby of all. The mystery of storms and lightning. Asterisk. The observatory was cloaked in a hushed, silver-blue stillness. For hours, the rain had fallen softly, and now the air held the damp perfume of renewal. But far in the distance, the midnight scientist noticed a flicker. A flash of light rippled across the horizon, faint but unmistakable. Asterisk, he smiled gently, not with fear, but with reverence. Ah, he murmured, a storm is awakened. The approach of a storms often begin quietly, almost shy, like a whisper before a song. The air grows heavy, the sky darkens, and the silence feels thick, as if the world is holding its breath. Asterisk. The midnight scientist turned to you and said, "Do you notice it? How storms change the air? It is not simply weather, it is energy moving, balancing, searching for harmony." Asterisk. He invited you to imagine standing on a wide porch in the countryside. The air is still, the clouds above vast and gray, and in the distance thunder rumbles. Yet, though it is powerful, you feel no fear. You are safe, sheltered, and calm. The storm is not against you, it is part of the earth's song. Asterisk. Why storms exist. Asterisk. He walked to his chalkboard and began sketching slow, looping motions, warm air rising, cool air sinking, winds twisting, clouds growing. Asterisk. Storms. He explained in his calm, melodic tone, exist because the earth is always seeking balance. Warm air meets cool air. Moisture rises. Winds dance, and together they create storms. But their purpose is not destruction. Their purpose is renewal. They release tension from the skies, just as a sigh releases tension from the body. Asterisk. He looked at you with kind eyes. Have you ever noticed how, after a storm, the world feels clearer, the air fresher, the sky brighter, the ground nourished? That is the gift of storms. They cleanse, they balance, they prepare the way for calm. The power of lightning, another flash flickered across the horizon, more brilliantness. Time. The midnight scientist's eyes reflected the light, but his voice remained steady and soothing. Asterisk. Lightning, he said, is the earth's way of speaking energy back into balance. It is not random chaos, it is connection. The sky reaching to the ground reaching back to the sky. And though it looks fierce, it is fleeting. It comes and it goes, leaving the air charged, alive, and clear. Asterisk. He traced a finger along the window pane. When anxiety flashes within you, think of lightning. It may feel bright, sudden, overwhelming, but it always passes. It cannot last. What follows is not more chaos, but calm. The thunder's voice, a low rumble followed, rolling through the valley like a drumbeat. The scientist closed his eyes, listening. Asterisk, thunder, he whispered, is not a threat, it is an echo. The voice of lightning carried through the sky. And though it sounds deep and mighty, it cannot harm you. It is simply the sky speaking loud, reminding us that even the most powerful flashes leave only sound behind. Asterisk, he leaned back in his chair, his voice softening further. If ever your thoughts grow loud like thunder rolling inside your mind, remember they are echoes. They are not permanent, not dangerous, only passing through, and soon they fade. Asterisk, finding calm in the storm, he invited you into another meditation. Close your eyes, he said warmly. Picture yourself safe inside a small cabin. The storm moves outside, flashing and rumbling, but you are cocooned in warmth. You are wrapped in blankets. A fire glows softly, and the sound of rain and thunder is distant, like a lullaby written by the sky. Asterisk, you realize the storm is not here to frighten you. It is here to remind you of strength. The walls around you are strong. Your breath is steady. Your body is safe. The storm can rage, but it cannot touch you. Instead, it rocks you gently like the rhythm of waves against the shore. Asterisk, he paused, letting you feel the imagery, letting you sink into the safety of it. A scientist's reflection. The midnight scientist opened his journal again and wrote slowly. Asterisk, storms appear fierce, yet they pass. Their flashes fade, their thunder rolls away, their winds calm, and what remains is peace. May I learn from them that turmoil does not last and calm always returns. Asterisk, he set down his pen, looking out at the distant flashes of lightning. Asterisk, anxiety, he said softly, is a storm of the mind. It feels powerful, overwhelming, unstoppable. But like the storms of the sky, it passes. Always, always it passes. And afterward, there is clarity. There is peace. The beauty of storm light, he gestured toward the horizon. Have you ever seen the light after a storm? The clouds break, the sun shines through, and the world looks as though it has been washed clean. This is why storms exist, not to frighten, but to clear the way for light. Asterisk, he leaned closer, his voice lowering as though speaking directly to your heart. Asterisk, When you feel as though your thoughts are storming, remember your light is waiting. The clouds will part, the calm will come, just as it always has, just as it always will. A gentle ending, the storm outside the observatory began to move on now. The lightning flickered less, the thunder rumbled farther away, the rain soft again. The midnight scientist exhaled a long, contented breath. Asterisk. Do you feel it? He asked. The quiet after the storm. The sky is sighing, the earth is resting, and so too can you. You need not fight the storm, only wait. And in the waiting, you will find peace. Asterisk, he closed his journal, set his pen aside, and leaned back in his chair. The storm was nearly gone, leaving behind only silence and the scent of clean air. Asterisk. Rest now, he whispered. Let go of the storm in your mind. Know that calm has returned and that you are safe. You are sheltered. You are at peace. Asterisk, his voice softened further, barely a murmur now. Asterisk, sleep, dear one. Sleep as the storm drifts away. Sleep as the world renews itself. Sleep and awaken tomorrow with the clarity of a sky washed clean. The gentle cycle of seasons. Asterisk. The observatory was still, its lamps casting a golden glow as the storm outside faded into silence. The midnight scientist rose from his chair and walked slowly to the shelves, running his fingers along the spines of books worn with age. He selected one, its cover a deep shade of blue, embossed with silver stars, and carried it back to his desk. Asterisk. This, he said softly, is a book about the seasons. And tonight, as our journey comes to a close, I wish to tell you how the turning of the year teaches us about peace, patience, and renewal. The fourfold rhythm. He opened the book carefully, its pages whispering as they turned. Asterisk. The weather is not random, dear one. It follows patterns, cycles, rhythms. Just as your heart beats and your breath flows, so too does the earth breathe in the turning of the seasons. Winter, spring, summer, autumn again and again without end. And in this rhythm there is comfort, for no season lasts forever, yet each one has its gift. Asterisk, he traced the page with his hand. Let us walk together through these seasons, and in them let us find lessons for calm. Winter, the quiet rest. Winter, he began, is the season of stillness. The earth rests beneath a blanket of snow. Trees sleep, rivers slow. To some it seems empty, lifeless. But winter is not emptiness, it is rest. It is the pause before renewal. Asterisk, when you feel weary, anxious, or overwhelmed, remember the wisdom of winter. Even the earth rests. Even the strongest trees lie quiet for a while. And in that quiet, strength is being gathered for what is to come. Asterisk, he leaned back in his chair, his voice lowering, gentle as a whisper of snow. Asterisk, imagine yourself now in winter. You are wrapped in a warm coat, standing in a silent forest. Snow falls softly around you, muffling every sound, cradling the world. In peace. There's no need to hurry, no need to do anything at all. The season itself is telling you, rest now and be still. Spring the renewal, the midnight scientist turned the page. Then comes spring when the earth awakens. Buds appear on branches. Rivers run stronger. The air is filled with birdsong. Spring is life's reminder that nothing stays asleep forever. Even after the longest winter, renewal comes. Asterisk in spring, we are taught hope. We are reminded that after every season of difficulty, something new can grow. Even the smallest seed buried in darkness can rise toward the light. Asterisk, he smiled, his eyes reflecting kindness. Imagine yourself walking through a meadow in spring. Flowers are blooming, bees hum gently, the air is warm against your skin. With each step, you feel lighter, as though your worries are dissolving into the fresh air. You realize that you too are like the earth, you can always begin again. Asterisk summer, the warmth asterisk. Then he continued, come summer, the season of light and warmth. Days are long, skies are bright, the world is abundant. Summer is life's reminder to celebrate, to rest in joy, to let the sun fill your spirit with light. Asterisk. Sometimes when anxiety weighs upon us, we forget to notice the simple joys. But summer reminds us there is sweetness in life, even in small things. A breeze, a smile, the warmth of sunlight on the skin. Asterisk, he closed his eyes for a moment as though remembering. Picture yourself by a calm lake on a summer evening. The sun is setting, painting the sky in gold and pink. The water reflects the colors, shimmering like glass. You breathe deeply, feeling warmth in your chest, a reminder that happiness can be simple, that peace can be enough. Autumn the release, he turned to the final season in the book. And then autumn arrives. The leaves turn gold, red, orange, drifting gently to the ground. The air grows crisp and the earth begins to prepare for rest once more. Autumn is the season of release, of letting go. Asterisk, when the trees release their leaves, they do not mourn. They know it is necessary. They know it is natural. So too can we release what no longer serves us, our worries, our regrets, our fears. Autumn teaches us the art of surrender. Asterisk, he gestured toward the window where the rain had ceased and the air outside smelled fresh. Imagine yourself walking through a quiet autumn forest. Leaves crunch beneath your feet. The air carries the scent of wood and earth. You feel yourself letting go with each step. Thoughts that once felt heavy drift away like falling leaves. And you realize you do not need to carry everything. You are free. The circle completes. The midnight scientist closed the book gently, resting his hands upon it. Asterisk. And then winter comes again. The circle continues. Life rests, awakens, rejoices, releases again and again. There's no need to fear change, for change is the very rhythm of peace. Just as the seasons turn, so too our days, our thoughts, our worries. Nothing stays forever, not storms, not fear, not anxiety. All things flow, all things pass. Asterisk, he looked at you with warmth, his voice soft but steady. And just as the earth always finds its way back to calm, so too will you. The scientist's final reflection. He opened his journal one last time and wrote, asterisk, may I learn from the seasons, to rest when I must, to grow when I can, to celebrate when joy comes, and to let go when the time is right. May I remember that nothing is forever and that in change there's peace. Asterisk, he set down his pen and folded his hands, closing his eyes. The observatory was silent now. the storm long gone, the air fresh and still. Asterisk, dear one, he whispered. You have walked with me through clouds and rain, storms and seasons. And now, as night deepens, I invite you to rest. Let your body be like the earth in winter, soft and still. Let your mind be like the sky after a storm, clear and open. Let your heart be like spring, ready to awaken in joy. Asterisk, sleep now, safe and sheltered. Sleep deeply, knowing that just as the seasons flow, so too does peace return, again and again. The lullaby of the earth. The midnight scientist leaned back in his chair, gazing out at the stars now breaking through the night sky. Their light shimmered like diamonds scattered across velvet. He breathed in slowly, exhaled gently, and let the silence of the observatory cradle him. Asterisk, outside, the world was calm. Inside, so too was the heart. Asterisk. Good night, he murmured, his final words softer than a sigh. Good night, dear soul. May you sleep as the earth sleeps, and may you awaken renewed. Asterisk, and with that, the story faded into stillness, into the infinite, peaceful rhythm of the turning world. Asterisk, and so, dear listener, as the midnight scientist's gentle voice fades and the mysteries of the weather drift into the distance, you are left with a calm heart and a peaceful mind. The storms of worry have settled, the waves of overthinking have quieted, and in their place remains only stillness, safety, and warmth. Asterisk, tonight, you have journeyed through the skies, through clouds and stars, only to return to the soft embrace of your own bed. Remember, just as the weather changes, so too do our thoughts and feelings, passing like clouds, never permanent, always moving toward light. Asterisk, as you surrender now to sleep, may your dreams be gentle, your rest be deep, and your spirit be renewed. You are safe, you are loved, you are enough. Asterisk, good night, sweet soul. Drift away, and may peace carry you into a new dawn.